We're live.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Team Up with myself and John's Longbox. There are links in the description for the two books that you just saw, the sign-up page for my new book coming out, Fate Blue, and for John's Heroic Tales #2. Everything is there in the description, and we're just going to have a talk tonight about Fantastic Four, I think, mostly because I did a video last Saturday about the Fantastic Four movie, and I've not been feeling well over this past week, to say the least, and I've been sitting around on my butt reading Fantastic Four. So how you doing, John?
Good. I just say you're not feeling good. It's so good that you have free healthcare up there in Canada. So I know that's just taking care of everything, and you'll be immortal soon. So there you go.
Yeah, free my eye.
Yeah, I was just telling RJ before we went live that I love RJ. For those of you who don't know, well, if you're on his channel, you know he does like a serious video on Saturday, and then he condescends to spend time with like his silly friend me, and we do goofier videos on Wednesdays. But your video on Saturday about the Fantastic Four articulated my feelings about it that I wasn't able to crystallize into thought. So I really, really like it. I've been telling everybody to watch it, because everybody's coming up to me. What do you think of the Fantastic Four movie? What do you think of the Fantastic Four movie? And I'm convinced, like a battered wife, that I'm just going to live with the misery of not having a good Fantastic Four movie. I mean, I love the retroism. I love the way the aesthetics of looks, but I said it from the beginning. As soon as I saw that they cast Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, it just didn't sit right, because Susan Storm is supposed to be like this motherly, beautiful with like rounded features, you know, but they got this sharp angled woman. I said, they're going to do something like with gender politics. I knew it. I kept my mouth shut, and I hate to say it, but I think you're right. I don't like Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. The guy who plays the Thing, I mean, they CGI in him, but he doesn't have the Brooklyn tough guy accent. You know,
I never even picked up on that, but you're right. Yeah, the Yancey Street.
Right. He's got to have that dated, you know, hey, rough and tumble voice, and he doesn't. He has like a, I don't know, like a wimpy kind of voice. And then the guy I like that actor who plays Johnny Storm. He was great in Stranger Things, but he's just totally miscast. So there you go. All four characters all four actors I don't like.
Yeah, there was something off, because I the trailer dropped for the second one. I watched it within like 20 minutes of it dropping because I was up doing work, and really something rubbed me the wrong way. It just said to me, "This is like 2018 Fantastic Four," even though it's set in the 1960s,
Yeah,
right? And that 2016 2018 Fantastic Four was girl boss Sue Richards, basically taking over the team. It didn't sit right with me. And Pedro Pascal, whatever his name is, he just seemed like he had no answers, right? He's the smartest man in the world, and
right.
he has no
Smartest
answers.
man in the world, but he's ineffectual, and he's gonna, he's gonna go back to mommy wife, and she's gonna solve all the problems. Although I do think one thing that you didn't say, that I believe that she's gonna go into traumatic, like, birth. They announced that she's pregnant in the trailer, and I think when Galactus comes, they're gonna get hit with something, and she's gonna give birth, and then it's gonna be Valeria who's
Yep.
the first steps of Valeria is gonna defeat Galactus or send
Yep.
him away.
That's exactly, because I didn't pick up that until later in the article that they said she actually gives birth during the
Yeah.
whole thing. So yeah,
Like,
that's what I imagine.
they're gonna skip Franklin and go right to Valeria. And of course, I'm a sexist, misogynist Nazi because I want to see the actual Silver Surfer. It just drives me nuts. Like, do you know the like that story of the Christian baker who didn't want to make a cake for a gay wedding?
Yeah.
Those poor oppressed people had to drive. Somebody did a map and they drove past 1,200 other bakeries to choose that baker. And I'm using the same example now. They had to bypass 1,200 appearances of Norrin Rad as the Silver Surfer to get the 4 appearances of a female Silver Surfer. Why are they? We know why, because it's an alternate Earth and they're going to come to our Earth, and who cares? Once you say alternate Earth, I don't care anymore.
Someone did bring up a good, interesting comment after I published the video, was the fact that they said they are sure that Earth is going to get destroyed because, and it makes sense if that's where they're going with the storyline, because they're of course in the Avengers movie, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, I agree. I think that Earth is destroyed. Oh well, I guess the progressive Earth gets destroyed. Is that what they're going for?
and again, I had somebody in the comments talking about, oh, there is a female Silver Surfer, so you don't know comics at all. I'm going, wow, you just missed the point completely.
Right. Like I said, I would like to find out how many times Norrin Rad showed up in a comic. How many consecutive issues? Would it be fair to say like 1,800 comics have the Norrin Rad in it, and literally 4 comics have the Shalabale in it? So, like, give the people what they want. Give the people what they want. Like, you really, like, you had to look. And one of the stories is a what if, and the other story is set in a possible future of Universe X, where, so, it's the future, and Silver Surfer bestows part of his power to Shalabale. They live off it. So it's not the normal 616 basic Marvel universe. It's alternate universes. But these people don't know that because they don't care. It's, look at these great covers. Look at that. I love that issue 3 cover. Isn't that one of the greatest covers? I don't know. That's just so great. I don't know. That is a piece of art.
I'm trying to figure out, for the life of me, I can't remember. There is, I'm sure I have from a kid, a reprint of I don't know, it was second appearance of Galactus. It's the fact that the very first page of the Fantastic Four is a splash page of the Silver Surfer basically sitting in Alicia, the Thing's girlfriend,
Right.
apartment, and he's in like the thinker pose, right?
Right.
And I can't remember, but it was
I
like
think that's 49.
49.
49. Because, right, isn't the Galactus story 49, 50, and 51?
It's right down at the bottom.
Oh yeah, he's scrolling down. Look at that.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, it's 48, 49, 50. Okay.
Yeah. This is one of the 3. Yeah. So here is everybody's introduction to John's amazing comic collection. John, you have number 1.
I have number 1, and then the next one I have is scroll down. That Dr. Doom and then I missed a couple. So the one above it, what number is that?
6.
Yeah, so I have 1, 6, yeah, 6, not 7. I have 8, and then 9, and yeah, 9, and then 9 up. 9 up.
Dang.
Yeah. So I'm missing a couple of the earlier ones.
I remember you did a video on this one here with the thing in the Thor, or sorry,
Yeah.
Hulk thing.
Yeah, I just did a Fantastic Four 13, that one, the Red Ghost. Jack Kirby art, Steve Ditko inks. It's the first appearance of the Watcher on the moon, the blue area. That comic right there is so much Marvel continuity, so much Marvel history in that one comic. It's amazing.
I love the fact that Kirby doesn't even draw the Earth correctly.
Yeah, I know. Could you imagine, like, right now? I don't know if you're aware of, like, people bickering. Oh, that finger's not in the right pose because Eric July's character is his finger is in the wrong position, and then the other guy's like, well, EVS did that. I'm like, look at Kirby. He couldn't even draw the Earth. And if you really want, look at how Kirby drew Spider-Man. I love Kirby, but he couldn't draw Spider-Man. So it's like, knock it off. It's comic books. It's, if it was photorealistic, it wouldn't be comic books. That right there, that Fantastic Four 17 is one of the inspirations for my Mary Sue cover.
Yep, I had reprints of that one as well.
Yeah, the power of the Super Scroll. Look at all that. Yeah,
and there's another like 19. I have reprints of this because they reprinted them over and over again. And I can't remember, like Marvel Tales or things like that, right?
Jewel says he didn't draw it correctly because the Earth is flat. Okay, so then we take it back. Kirby drew it accurately. Yep. I don't know why they're having Robert Downey Jr. play Dr. Doom. But is it because he's just a popular, charismatic actor? Is it because Iron Man, Tony Stark is really Dr. Doom from another dimension? It's like, I hate all that stuff.
I'm just going to scroll down to the next set of books here.
This monster.
Yeah, there it is, number 50. I'm pretty sure
Look
that's
at
the one.
Flat-chested woman there playing the Silver Surfer on issue 50. Look at that. That Black Panther. Oh my God, that issue right there is just brilliant, and I love the way Kirby draws the Black Panther. He's a guy in a cloth costume with stealth and heightened senses. You know what I mean? I don't like this modern interpretation of the Black Panther with like a kinetic suit and armor. He's Iron Man. What does that have to do with the Panther? If you're Spider-Man and you're shooting flames and rockets and armor, you're not spiders. That's not what spiders do. And Panthers don't wear armor. Panthers are sneaky. They're stealthy. They sniff the air. I hate when they break the motif of a character like that. Look at that Black Bolt. That is just so great. Doesn't that look like it glows?
Yeah. And when I was a kid, I loved drawing Human Torch.
Oh, really? Yeah. I thought you could say Black Bolt. Something about Black Bolt. I've always loved Black Bolt. I always loved that character whose power is a curse, so therefore they have to suffer in silence, like Cyclops and Black Bolt. Although they ruined Cyclops, but so far Black Bolt, I think they didn't really ruin yet.
This is where my collection starts. I had these since 95. So 60 and 61 is where my collection starts.
That 61, that Sandman, I always thought it was a different Sandman than the one in Spider-Man. The Ditko one with just the green and white striped shirt. I didn't realize, they gave him a superhero costume. But how does that green costume have anything to do with sand? If anything, the Sandman should have like the Sandman should be dressed like a 1902 beach outfit, like the short sleeves and everything with the red and white stripes, like he's going to the beach. Like that would be a good Sandman costume.
Well, that's what his normal shirt looks like, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's like a green t-shirt with stripes on it.
Yeah, and it works because it's back to it now. And when he was in the movie, like we were just saying to Steve Ditko's nephew, Uncle Steve Ditko, he designed some of the best costumes ever. And I don't think he gets credit for his art, for his stories, but I don't think he gets enough credit for his costume design.
Yeah, it's just like here, Ronan. Again, this is a design that was, I think, just used for. It might have been in the Captain Marvel movie, but it was certainly been used for the new Ronin that they came up with in the Captain Marvel books that came out.
Oh,
But I mean,
Dirty Fatty says the Earth is wrong. Kirby drew it the way it's supposed to be. Yeah.
what's
Well,
the
when you're the
there
king.
was a there was I can't remember who it was. One of the people that I was reading an article about, their comic book. I can't remember who it was. It's like Perez or something like that. Basically saying when astronauts get to the edge of the universe, they're going to find, when they flip over the last page, Jack Kirby's signature.
Here it is, him, the first appearance of Adam Warlock.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have these as well. Yeah, these are prized possessions that I have. I used to search these out. I remember we had there's a small comic shop. It probably still exists somewhere in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I found these stuck in a box in the corner for like $4 a piece.
Oh, good deal.
That was like it was 1991, maybe at the latest.
Another Marvel Universe movie pet peeve is I didn't like Chris Evans as Captain America. I know everybody liked him, but to me, he didn't have the command presence that Captain America is supposed to have. And the fact that they got him out of the Captain America outfit way too quick. You know, the last couple of movies, he was wearing like a black outfit that had nothing to do with Captain America. It's almost like they were embarrassed. Commit to the bit. He's Captain America. Keep him in that red, white, and blue fur. I know you got to sell him in China, but keep him as Captain America. And he didn't seem like a military leader. He seemed like a smug, like college professor or something.
This cover here, I always loved 68. It's just Kirby-esque beyond belief. Just so, throw in random little bits of this thing in order to hold the thing down. I mean,
yeah, what is it?
Weight, right?
Yeah, it's like a organic machine or something. Yeah, I love that. What is the thing holding in 69? Like, yeah, it's supposed to be a pile of brick, but how is the mortar holding it together? Don't ask questions. And this is the kind of stuff that just makes comics fun. Like, I know what Ben's doing. He's grabbing a hunk of debris and he's throwing it at the Human Torch. Does it make sense? No. In today's world, in the crowdfunding market, on the internet, people would be like, oh, that's not the way bricks work. It's like, shut up, everybody. Enjoy the comics. Can we just have fun?
Yeah, and they were all concerned about how many people would die after he threw it at the Human Torch from the top of the building.
That's funny that you said that, because so many times, like, buildings would blow up and then the Human Torch would be like, I'm going to melt it all. It's like, oh, great. Now all the people are being pelted with hot liquid magma instead of... Yeah, look at this. When the Mighty.
I can't remember the name of this character at all. I have these books.
That's not the Super Adaptoid, is it?
I don't remember. It's been a while since I read these ones.
Yeah. Oh, look, that's a great cover, 72. Look at that female Silver Surfer there, you bigot.
It's funny, when I was going through a lot of drawing stuff, right? It's how to draw galactic backgrounds according to Jack Kirby. Like, and this would be like 72 would be the example you would, and even they even gave examples of when Walter Simonson did the exact same thing to copy Jack Kirby to do the galactic background with the little circles.
Look at that. That's awesome. Now look at the Avengers. Look at that Spider-Man. I wondered, did somebody touch up Kirby? Because he always seemed to like make Spider-Man look a little sloppy, That Daredevil is great, though. Giant guest star Bonanza.
Yeah. And my question in my video on the weekend was, there's so many Galactus heralds. Why would you not use another one? I mean, if you're going to switch it up, I mean, it's just an obvious question.
Right. Yeah. Look, that's the Seeker. I remember that robot. I love Galactus. I don't know if you watched. I did a Sunday comics talking about the Reed Richards trial of Reed Richards, and then I followed it up with Clobbering Time, where I basically said was Reed correct in saving Galactus, and I just I think Galactus needs. I don't know. Maybe in 2015, I stopped collecting Marvel. Maybe they explored it, and if they did, I don't trust it after that. But I always felt like Galactus needed a purpose. You know, like he can't just be this apex predator. Like if I was to take over the Marvel universe, you know, Leandro, when they had that trial, like Galactus would be like, "Do you know what I do?" Kind of like Jack Kirby. Yeah, do you know why I'm feeding so often? I used to feed like once every century or once every 1,000 years. Now I'm feeding all because there's things from beyond the universe that are coming, and I am the protector of stuff that you can't even grasp. You don't know about it because I'm there, like Cthulhu monsters, Azathoth, things like that from beyond continuums that you can't even fathom. And yes, they're attacking more often, so I'm feeding more often. And you know what? I'm sorry, but that's what you kill me. The universe is gone. Like I would have liked a story like that. Otherwise, Galactus is evil, and Reed Richards was wrong for saving his life.
That's funny. When I was reading just this week, when I picked up was the issue right after that whole saga ended. There was like a time gap of like 5 months between the trial of Reed Richards and then when they started over again, and Reed Richards and Sue basically have secret identities, and he changes his face in order to pretend.
Yeah, they lived in Connecticut. They bought a little house in Connecticut. Yeah, I remember that. Look at that Tokamak, right? Isn't that the Indian totem creature with Wyatt Wingfoot? Guest starring Wyatt Wingfoot.
I'm just trying to go through the comments here. That's why I'm leaving that. See what everybody's doing here. Yeah, let's see how many people are here. Manny's here. Sound Engraver's here. How's everybody doing? Jewel is here. Pedro, Old Dirty Fatty, George, Vaz is here. Should we get a shout out to everybody who's here? I just I'm on the other page scrolling down through the covers. That's why I don't get to see your comments right away.
Yeah, for those of you who don't understand, for RJ to manipulate the Fantastic Four covers, he actually has to leave the StreamYard, so he doesn't see the chat.
Anyone ever see that Spidey poster Kirby did once with a Sentinel? I don't think so.
No, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking. Spidey with the Sentinel from the X-Men, or am I thinking it wrong? What do you find more interesting character, Galactus or Dr. Doom?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I like Dr. Doom. Just to me, Dr. Doom is the ultimate comic book villain. He's over the top. He's ridiculous. He makes no sense. You know, he can only exist in comic books, which is why I guarantee you, in the Fantastic Four movie, he's going to have the mask on, and then he's going to take it off, and he's never going to wear the mask again. You know, only Hugo Weaving was able to subdue his ego and wear a mask for the entire movie, because he's like an opera villain. You know, like the Fantastic Four is like an opera. Dr. Doom should be waving his hands and yelling and overacting, and you know, he's right, everybody's wrong, the world is conspiring against him, you know, woe is me. He's ridiculous, and I love everything about him. You know, Galactus is a slight margin behind. I love Galactus too, but the problem with Galactus is they literally had to come up with the ultimate nullifier to defeat him. The Fantastic Four couldn't beat him. So they literally made the God in the Machine to defeat him, and now Squirrel Girl is beating him. You know, Kamala Khan is beating him. Like every other character's beating Galactus. Galactus's gravitas got destroyed. Like he should be showing up like once a decade, you know, and then only in like a Fantastic Four or maybe like an Avengers annual or something like that. But he shouldn't be showing up in the Defenders, you know, the Luke Cage, Brian Michael Bendis Defenders, you know, like, oh, how, you know, we're going to take care of some street pimps. Oh, here comes Galactus. You know, no, they devalued Galactus, in my opinion. I love that 82. Look at that cover.
Yeah, these are two that I have. I always like as a kid, because I remember having this one as a kid for a long time. I was confused because I thought it was Galactus for some reason on what is it, 83?
Yeah, that's Maximus. I just realized looking through all these covers how many bad guys were in green in the Fantastic Four. Even green, I guess, was like a bad guy color in the Fantastic Four. Red Ghost was originally green. It wasn't colored red till later.
So when you're talking about Galactus a little bit earlier, it's funny because you probably remember this. So I don't know what issue it was. So Excalibur, when Phoenix was Rachel Summers was Phoenix, and she was battling Galactus, and they had Alan Davis do those beautiful splash pages of the two of them just battling it out through the entire issue. I copied some of those to draw on those. I love that issue.
I love to see your art. You still have any of your art? That would be fun.
Yeah, it's in a file somewhere, I'm sure, along with my comics somewhere.
I showed
all I ever did was just copy these things down. But that was one of the storylines, was that she was fighting Galactus because she didn't want him to destroy this planet, and he's talking to her going, you realize where your power comes from? You're sucking it out of the universe.
Tony Grigo says, excuse me, RJ, what are your thoughts on Franklin Richards killing and ultimately becoming Galactus during the Earth X miniseries?
I don't remember that miniseries at all. So it's the Earth X miniseries. When was that out?
That was Alex Ross and Jim Krieg. I can't remember the guy's last name, but Earth X was what to Marvel what Kingdom Come was to DC. It was right. Alex Ross basically exploring the future of the Marvel. And for the most part, it was really good. I liked Franklin Richards becoming this cosmic entity. Wasn't he like in the regular Marvel universe, he's going to become a Celestial or something like that? I kind of forget.
He could create entire universes, so
right.
I wouldn't put it past it. But I really like the. I think it was published in. It might have been published in Thor. I'm not entirely sure, but the actual origin of Galactus. I always loved the actual origin of Galactus, in the fact that basically before the Big Bang there was another universe, and he's the only survivor of that entire universe. Came through the
Big Bang. TAA. I love that. Yeah, and then he made this machine, and all just incubated for 1 billion years.
George says, I mean that Quasar comic introduced so many cosmic beings, like Infinity is another version of Eternity, and Oblivion is the mirror version of death in the universe. Yes, I completely forgot. I love Quasar. Quasar was one of the books I bought religiously.
It was a fun comic, yeah. It always bothered me that Eternity is time, and Infinity was space. It's backwards. Like Infinity should be time and Eternity should be space, but Marvel did it wrong. Drives me nuts. RJ, your great analysis of the upcoming FM misstep. Yeah, I've been telling people to watch that. I love that.
I'm actually probably going to do this weekend's video about. I got a really good comment somebody gave me, basically saying it's just what would you call it? It's boomer storytelling. It's what is it? Boomer nostalgia, basically. So it's kind of what I was going to go for with this week's video. Just tack it on to the end of that, because it was a really good comment. It started me thinking about a lot of this stuff.
If you notice around here, around 80 or so, Jack Kirby stopped coming up with new characters. I think around here, Jack was a little annoyed. Like, I'm making up all these characters, but it's all Super Skrull, Return of, this, Return of that guy.
This issue 91 always made me think of that Star Trek episode where the mobsters controlled the Earth, right?
Yeah, a piece of the action. My least fantastic X-Men Star Trek episode. Oh
yes, and I forgot to mention the if they wanted to tie in with the other Marvel universe, they should have made the Destroyer Galactus's herald, right? That would have been a good story tie-in for the two universes, if you ask me, for the movie, if they had done it right. Because the Destroyer basically takes the essence of the other person that it's exposed to, and that becomes the soul of the Destroyer. And so they, for a time, had the Destroyer basically absorb part of Galactus's own essence and then became his herald. That was a good storyline. That was really good.
Yeah, they know better than Stan and Jack over there at Marvel U. You know, the return of the Frightful Four.
Oh, good old Paste Pot Pete.
Paste Pot Pete. Yep, I love Paste Pot Pete. For those of you in my Heroic Tales, I will have a Paste Pot Pete ripoff at some point, and his name will be Epoxy. Like that, the monster from the Lost Lagoon. Yeah, this was Jack coasting it in around now. Yeah,
I love the fact that Human Torch is just throwing fire down into the sand, creating glass.
Doomsday on the Moon.
Oh, look at that! I never even noticed.
What
if you see issue number 98, and you have the Jack Kirby version of the rocket ship that they're using, that's the one they're using in the movie.
Yeah, the Pogo plane. Yeah. Stay. You don't know how I love word balloons on the cover. You know, I actually am working on a cover for the third appearance of Mary Sue, and I think I want to have word balloons on it, like make it look like an old-fashioned comic. Oh, you got a super chat there, RJ.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I know you're on the other page. That's why I wanted to alert you.
Thank you very much, Sound Graver. Do you think that the retro-futuristic setting of the upcoming film is to draw older people? Yes, indeed. That's probably what I'm going to talk about this coming weekend, because the youth won't grasp it on the level we can. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I think it is. It's like I said, boomer fiction. It's basically the last grasp of these people to try to cement their place in history, because they never focused on anything eternal. So they're trying desperately to hold on to what they have. George says Thor Odin gave it to Galactus. I think it was the Destroyer, so that it can be his new herald, so the Fire Lord could be set free. Yes, Fire Lord was another good character that they. I mean, it's a bizarre character in the fact that he has a staff and has fire, and that's how he moves around.
Yeah, well, Silver Surfer has a surfboard. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's bizarre.
Well, that's the one. That's one of the things I forgot to mention in the video on Saturday, was the fact that, yeah, the reason why I might think that they would go with Silver Surfer instead of Nova would because of the fact it's a surfboard. And again, you're appealing to the boomers, right? Surfboard.
They didn't show the surfboard in the trailer. They just showed a silver woman, right? Did she have a surfboard?
Yeah, there's a part where Johnny grabs onto the surfboard as she's escaping the atmosphere.
And they barely showed Reed stretching, because it is a weird power.
Yeah.
You know, would you want stretching, RJ, as a power?
When I was sick over this last week, I would have. I don't want to get up.
Anybody watching this, would you want, if you had a choice of any superpower, would anybody pick stretching? No way.
I don't know. I got my Thomas Valiant is. I see the appeal of some of the power set, but it wouldn't be my first choice by any means. Tony, as Kirby was somebody who went through World War II and talks about. Well, a lot of people point this out when I used to post things about Jack Kirby on X. Basically, he had a lot of these quotes about everybody was hunting commies, right? But and people point out, oh, he was a Nazi hater, all this kind of stuff. I was like, yeah. He sat there and talked about how everybody was trying to ferret out communists in the entire USA and everything else. So I'm not entirely sure what side he'd be on right now, but
right. And it's I wouldn't know. I don't know. I know that Stan Lee was a Hillary Clinton supporter up until, you know, she ripped him off of millions of dollars and actually had to testify against her in court and survived. That's how you know Stan Lee had superpowers. He actually went to court, testified against her under the Whitewater hearings. But to me, like, who would Jack Kirby support politically? I don't know. It's not fair for me to contemplate that. Well, I could contemplate it, but to speculate with any authority, I don't know. It's kind of
here we got issue 102, 103. That's where Jack Kirby is gone.
Yeah, this Roy Thomas took over, right? I forget who the artist is.
I can remember 103 is like some strange subplot about Nixon or something like that.
Yeah, it got really weird. It got really weird for a couple of issues. Like I don't know. I wonder if Stan and Jack just leave like suddenly? Because it's almost like they're like, we don't know what to do.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing. They were talking in the article about how Sue Richards was damsel in distress, but now come around issue 100, you can see damsel in distress Sue, but Jack Kirby, not so much. Not if you ask me.
Now the first 10 issues, she was just a hostage, and then she kind of came into her own, and yeah, I think she regressed a little bit because now she's a new mother, and I think back then, you're a new mother. You don't really want to see her getting punched in the face by Dr. Doom. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like she's a mom. Like they kind of had her out of the group for a while, and Crystal was in the group, and then Medusa took over. You know, I think it was more like they didn't want to have a mom out adventuring and leaving the baby around. I think that would have made her less sympathetic in their eyes.
Yeah. I love this cover though, 106.
Yeah.
And you get into, I don't know, Annihilus was Microverse?
No, he was from the Negative Zone.
Negative Zone. I always get the two confused.
The Zone. The Psycho Man was from the Microverse.
Right.
Come on, RJ, get your nerd stuff together. Come on. In front of all people.
Plastic cover there. The
Yeah.
Hulk versus the Thing.
I tell you, when Hulk and the Thing fought, that was like an important comic as a kid, you know. We were like, we had to get the Hulk and Thing fights. And that was like camps among kids, you know. We divided up like among the Jets and the Sharks. We would actually snap our fingers and dance as we were arguing over who would win that fight. That's how serious we took it.
Yeah, I always remember because of the fact that Thing would pretty much always lose, but the Thing was the one that I always felt like he should win.
He was the underdog. In my comic book logic, the Thing should lose because he's part of a team, if that makes any sense. Like the Hulk, you know, the specialist always wins, and the Hulk is strength, whereas, you know, the Thing is the strong guy on a team. So in my little kid logic, the Hulk should win. Just like, to me, like Justice League Superman should be weaker than regular Superman. You know what I mean? We all kind of agree it, but it doesn't make sense. But comic books really don't make sense if you analyze them too much, which is why I get annoyed with all these people fighting online about stupid things in comic books. It's like nothing.
Another beautiful cover here, 118. I love Crystal in this issue.
Boy, did Crystal not come out good in comics, man. She is like she became like the most unloyal girlfriend, wife in the history of comics.
I never did get Airwalker.
Yeah, that's my least favorite out of all of the Heralds of Galactus. Airwalker. I think he didn't last too long.
Again, here with 123, you got Nixon on the cover.
The World Enslaved, featuring the Silver Surfer. Yeah, this was a really weird. They didn't know what to do with the Fantastic Four. I wouldn't be surprised if the sales were really, really low at this point. The Return of the Monster.
Yeah, this is the monster. Remember you were talking about where Kirby goes phoning it in?
Yeah.
I think it's the rehashing of this. So they're going way back to Kirby trying to get people to get sales up, I think.
And then this would 126. I think this was like the Deadline Doom. So they just did a rushed reprint of the Origin, or a hastily redrawn.
And how many times has the Mole Man been used in different formats? I think it's the Incredibles. They have the Mole Man. You know,
I love the Underminer. Is such a great name. It's like one of the times I'm jealous that I didn't think of it first.
This is where my issues start to get a little bit spotty. I have 128. I don't have 129.
I also love
130.
I don't know what it is, but that red and yellow costumes, I love. That's such a great superhero, like Thundra with the lightning bolts. I love Doc Samson. The Flash's costume is great. That's in my comics. I have the Go-Getter. That's an homage to all of these Flash type costumes. Sound Engraver says stretching is more of a female ability. No disrespect to Miss Richards. Flexibility is a kind of female coded, while inflexibility, durability is more male coded. Oh, good discussion. I like this. On one hand, I'm glad for a mother protagonist, but on the other hand, I hope she doesn't put the baby in danger. Yeah, I think that's what these old timers, old fashioned Marvel guys were doing with Sue. They regressed her into a hostage or damsel in distress because these guys probably had young babies at home and they're thinking about their wives going out to combat,
Yeah, that's exactly one of the things I was going to talk about is, I did a little bit on Saturday, was the fact that, you got a rehashing of the idiotic 2008, what is it, Spider-Woman, where she's pregnant and being a superhero at the same time. Is like, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
Like in the movie Fargo, remember the female cop was like super pregnant at the time? I just remember I'm sitting in the movie theater watching that, and my friend Jeff just turns to me and goes, I can't watch this anymore. That she shouldn't be pregnant. It's disturbing me, but I think that's what the Coen brothers were obviously going for. Tony Grigo says, RJ John, what's your favorite public domain superhero?
Public domain superhero. Huh. There's a lot of things that just come into the public domain, so I'm not entirely sure. Shadow, most probably.
Submariner is now public domain. And
what's that?
Submariner and the original Human Torch are now public domain.
Oh, the original Human Torch, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because Fade to Blue, I started by thinking about Blue Flame, which was somebody who basically had the exact same power set of Human Torch, but before Human Torch was created.
Yeah. Who's my favorite public domain? That's a good question, RJ. Tony, rather. Let me think about that. Remind me. I'll think about it. I like a lot. Excuse me. I like a lot of them, and but I don't want to use any of them in my comics. I want to play with my own toys. Like I don't like. I like the Black Terror, but I don't want to have Black Terror stories and then somebody else is telling Black Terror stories. I think that takes away from my stories. If I may be selfish,
I guess I would have to say Conan would be my good choice because he is public domain in Europe at the very least.
I forgot about Conan. I'm thinking of superheroes, but yeah, I guess if we're doing all of that, Cthulhu and the Lensman, maybe the Lensman public domain. I would love to. The Lensman world is so cool. Rereading those books at work. I hated this when Johnny Storm had the red costume.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Honestly,
I hated it. Yeah, because the Invisible Woman left at this point. This was full on. Marvel didn't want a mother in the team, so they replaced her with Medusa and Crystal. So now everybody had a unique costume.
It's beautiful. Dr. Doom pose there.
Yeah.
158.6.
Right, he's overacting. I always thought Dr. Doom was an opera villain. I could see him just singing his lines. I will defeat you. He's just ridiculous, and that's what makes him so great. Like, if Robert Downey Jr. is not overacting playing Dr. Doom and not doing it, that 159 is one of the greatest covers. I love that cover. Do you remember the folder? They made a series of folders.
I don't remember that, no.
I had that folder in third grade. That was my my comic book folder. I would put comic books and put them in that folder, bring them to school. And then there was an Avengers that had the Squadron Sinister on one side fighting the Avengers facing the others, and that was for schoolwork. So I would carry around.
Remember that?
Yeah. Look. Now this is Archon.
Yeah, I remember Archon from They have a really good continuation of the Archon storyline in X-Men.
Right. That was George Perez, inked by Terry Austin, and it was a great freaking comic. What was that? Annual number 7.
Yeah, it was basically Storm.
This one we used to make fun of. 163 Guard.
Yeah, I have that.
Guard.
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes sense with the fact that, what is it? The Black Racer from DC, right? Yeah. Why not have a hockey player?
I know. I just always love when they put I'm doing for Sunday Comics the Project Pegasus, and Ben Grimm is trying to rescue Wonder, with with 2 R's,
Reminds me of The Running Man with the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. Yeah, 9 month. Yeah.
Oh yeah, John Carter. Forgot about John Carter.
Yeah, John Carter's a good public domain. I just got an artist who's going to be working on a character inspired by John Carter. So keep your eyes peeled for Longbox comics in the future. Van Helsing and Dracula's public. I would never use Dracula. Dracula's got too much baggage. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't use vampires, but I wouldn't use Dracula. But I do like Dracula. I love all the Universal monsters. What are your thoughts on Sue Storm becoming Malice?
That's an old storyline, and I have to say, that section of Fantastic Four was not the best run, to say the least. We'll just put it out there. It wasn't bad comics at the time, but it was like, yeah, I buy Fantastic Four. I'm going to continue to buy Fantastic Four. You know what I mean?
I looked at it as like, yeah, every superhero goes bad, but John Byrne's favorite of the Fantastic Four was Sue Storm, and he wanted to show off how powerful she was. So in that respect, I thought it was a cool story because let's face it, that force field ability is really, really cool. And then, but the whole dominatrix outfit and stuff like that was a little too much. Like, I still think like she's Marvel's mother, and should be treated with a little bit more respect than the Hoochie outfit under Paul Ryan and Tom DeFalco. I cringed every time I see that outfit. It was just, that's not what you do. Oh, my husband's dead. I'm going to dress up in like a string bikini and go out and fight crime now. You're mom, have some respect. As people call me a sexist, but whatever. What are my aesthetics highlights in old comics? Like, what aesthetics do you like? Good question.
Old comic aesthetics.
He spelled wrong, but I can't correct anybody's spelling. I had to hire it. But I like superhero comics to me. Like, there's something about Art Deco that goes so well with superheroes. Like, I love that. Like, superheroes should be in big cities with Art Deco Chrysler buildings, and then, you know what I mean? Like, I've seen Spider-Man going through like the swamps of Mississippi. Just, it's not right. You could do it every once in a while, but I'll tell you, whenever like you open up the Spider-Man comic and J. Jonah Jameson is like, I want you to go get me pictures of Howard the Duck. And then you're like, oh, he's going to go to a swamp. And that's not right. Spider-Man should be swinging around Manhattan and Brooklyn.
I would probably say, aesthetic wise, is my big hang up is color. It's not even anything else than just a bright, colors. Especially what pops in my mind would be, let's say John Byrne, Avengers run. That was colored beautifully.
I agree with you with the colors. I hate, like, look at this cover right here, Fantastic Four 172. The colors are muted and understated, yet they work. Now, when this gets reprinted in an omnibus, it's going to be bright. And the only way I describe it, and I know I'm using the wrong word, but it looks artificial. Like, I think they colored it knowing the saturation of the paper and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they reprint it, they put it on better. And I wondered, do they not change do they use literally the old color on the new paper and it just doesn't look right? It looks, quite frankly, it looks terrible. Like, when that's one of the reasons why I like to get the original comics. Sometimes I bite the bullet and I'll buy an omnibus of something that's thousands of dollars and I can't afford, but by golly, I don't like it.
Okay, let's look at 173 here. We'll go back to whoever's doing this issue. I don't even know, but you got your Jack Kirby Earth right in the middle of this entire. What the heck even is this? I mean, you got a giant supercontinent that's a little bit southwest of Baja Peninsula.
RJ, you don't remember that before the government mind wiped us all? Yeah. What is that? Is that supposed to be Australia? I guess, or is that Lemuria? Is that Argotha? Is that what Is that what's supposed to be beyond the ice wall, the kingdom of Argotha? Dracula needs to be the head of the IRS in your comic book, John's Longbox. Well, there will be no head of the IRS in my comic book because in the perfect world, there is no IRS. I just don't want to use Dracula. It's been used. I love that Galactus fight, the High Evolutionary. High Evolutionary is one of my favorite characters. I was so excited that they put him in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and despite the fact that they changed him, I was still pretty pleased that they made him like a horrible bad guy. These days, when I saw that they cast a black actor as the High Evolutionary, I was like, here it comes. He's going to be sympathetic because they can't have a black guy. But no, my wife hated him. She was like, he was the most evil of all the bad guys.
I always remember the High Evolutionary from the idiotic was annual series, probably like 1990, where they put, I can't remember, it was High Evolutionary War or something like that. It ran through all the I hate it when they did that. It just ruined my summer.
Right. So I will say that Fantastic Four from 103 to like right around now, they started to pick up again. Like when Len Wein and George Perez started taking over. Like it was really the low point. Like right around now, this picks up, guys. This is where the Fantastic Four really, really takes off, and it lasts, I don't know, almost 100 issues, because this goes into John Byrne's first run, and then after John Byrne, there was like a weird 10, 15 issues of like Bill Sienkiewicz and other people, just bizarre, but I still liked it. And then the John Byrne run took off, and that's to me one of the greatest runs of all time. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's like 185. I remember that's for me. Yeah, I think you got, where is it?
But that's my
Claw
187 right there is my first comic. That's the first comic book I bought with my own money.
187?
Fantastic Four 187, yeah. George Perez, Joe Sinnott, Len Wein. And it's super complicated, and it's in the middle of a story, but that's the way comic books were. It was worth the work to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, these were complicated stories at the time.
Yeah.
There it is. There's like Molecule Man. I remember 188.
Yeah,
we had this.
Look at that building, just stomping on people. That is just awesome.
If you can, I don't think you can see it in this picture right here, but if you have the actual cover in front of you, there's people coming out of the windows. This giant building came from, right? So
there's people like dangling he took a building and he turned it to this monster, so people are falling out of the windows every time it moves. I remember there's one panel where it stomps on a car and you just see somebody flying. You're like, those people died. I didn't see anybody saving them.
No, I honestly, John, 188 is probably the oldest Fantastic Four that I had growing up, just there right before I went and searched for everything. So you and I are basically coming into Fantastic Four at the same time. Malice
was defeated with the power of misogyny. How was she defeated? Yeah, Reed.
Power of misogyny basically is right, because Reed basically took out her entire persona by bad mouthing her. That's about it.
Go make me a sandwich. Ah! Why do heroes become stronger when they become evil? I'll answer this. In my comic book world, and I think RJ, if I may spoil you, we talk about this behind the scenes, but the superheroes are restrained in my world. Like, they could draw more power, but they know that to draw more power corrupts their brains. So when they become evil, they don't care about that. So they'll draw more power. That's how I explain it. But in comic books, just think about that. When Superman's smacking people around, he's using the will of Superman to restrain himself. If he becomes evil, he doesn't care about that. And just Spider-Man could lift up a car. Could you imagine if Spider-Man punched Dr. Octopus with his full strength? Fake tentacles or not, that guy's internal organs are rupturing. So in evil, they just don't hold back, if you ask me. I always loved that one of Dr. Doom with all the powers.
Yes, I love 199. That was a great issue.
Yeah. Look at Dr. Doom's face in 198. That is just overacting deluxe,
The fact that his mouth always looked like circuit boards inside.
Right.
It's just there's your comic book logic for you.
Yeah. Like when it closes down, do the plates recess and like go above like his top of his mouth and the bottom of his mouth, like, or his teeth constantly rubbing it? Oh, that freaks me out thinking about that. Fantastic Four too. I remember taking a magnifying glass and looking at the shattered mirror to see Doctor Doom's face. You know, remember Doctor Doom? There's a mirror and he sees his face reflected 1 billion times, and that drives him nuts. That issue 102 or 202 rather. I was in the hospital the day my brother was born. So I every time I see that cover, I think of my brother being born. You know, my mother was giving birth while my father here, read this. And I just sat in the lobby by myself. You know what I mean? No babysitter, just reading Fantastic Four over and over again. This is a classic run. This is, you know, I don't know if John Byrne was drawing these inside, but this, guys, I cannot recommend this. They call this the Skrull Saga. It's like the next 12 issues or so. It's all one big story. And I remember that one, 206. There was a kid that I used to walk home with. We used to call him Fat Kid Rogers, and he was like 2 or 3 years older than us. He looked like Archie Andrews, but if Archie Andrews was super obese. And he was like, "Hey, did you get Fantastic Four 206 yet?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know it was that." Because back then, comics just showed up. You know, you didn't have a schedule. I'm like, "Oh, man." He goes, "You got to get it." Right on the cover, Sue Storm gets shot in the boobs. And I was like, and then I got the comics. Like, she's not shot in the boobs. Fat Kid Rogers is a liar. And the monocle, just a terrible supervillain, but, you know, he's the monocle. My power is I got a monocle. The Sphinx. I have an homage to him in a future issue of Heroic Tales. I love that character.
Yeah, so they got Herbie coming back in.
Yep.
And more Galactus.
I don't know how many times I put tracing paper on that cover and traced that issue over and over and over again. That Galactus. That is so cool. You got the origin of Terra. Yeah, John Byrne is drawing it now. That's the origin of Terrax. That is so good. And that issue right there, 212 and 213, two of the greatest comics ever made. Oh my God, guys. I don't even want to spoil it, but I did videos on these two comics. You got
the
Walt
Clash of the Sphinx and Galactus with the Walter Simonson cover. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was like Shakespeare to me. That was so good. Yeah. I just got a message. Okay, just making sure everything's okay. I'm trying to look. Let's see if anybody has said anything. I got so caught up with these covers. The Futurian. This was like a little weird period of the Fantastic Four.
That's what I was about to say. Though it does pick up right here, 219. I think is back to John Byrne.
Yeah, that issue with 219. That's Bill Sienkiewicz drew the inside of that. It's really bizarre, really good. Or maybe it's Frank Miller. I forget. It's either Bill Sienkiewicz or Frank Miller. And then John Byrne is drawing these again. And I think it's John Byrne. Joe Sinnott is the inker. Yeah, that was a creepy one. Our son possessed.
This is where it started to get into. I can't remember. It seemed a lot like almost like Legion of Superheroes for a couple of issues.
Yeah, this was the Samurai Destroyer. It was like the Shogun Warriors were popular.
Yeah, so I was about to say as well. Shogun Warriors are showing up in Fantastic Four, Avengers, everything.
I don't know why this one 220 and 229 I've always liked. This dark creature that was he was basically evaporating, and as he was evaporating, like he was creating these energy ribbons that were just ripping everything apart. You know, he wasn't necessarily bad, but he couldn't be around. Just I love that kind of villain. Like you're not bad, but your presence is ruining things. Kind of like my ex-girlfriend. So they had to do something. And then
this cover, here's another 2-3-33. This cover I redrew over and over again. Was
he your favorite? Was the Human Torch your favorite of the Fantastic Four?
I I wouldn't even think that to have a favorite back in the time when I collected Fantastic Four, but he was easiest to draw.
Right.
And especially when you're going, I'm drawing it according to John Byrne is different than anybody else because he uses not so much in this cover, but he uses a lot less lines than everybody else when he's drawing Human Torch.
Yeah, I remember this. This was very jarring to me, because I actually quit the Fantastic Four, but I think I was back by 234, and then bought the other 2 issues. Who is he? What is he? The man with the power. The FF battle, the ego. This is so good.
And that Fantastic Four cover 236 reminds me of, I don't know, at the same time, I think this is when Contest of Champions came out as well.
Oh yeah, okay, probably around the same time, yeah. Just to get the 20th anniversary. Back then, you could still get a copy of like Fantastic Four #1 for like $100. It wasn't outrageously expensive back then. That cover always drove me nuts.
The John Byrne one
was not in this Marvel comic, and then John Byrne. I was like, oh, come on. Yep, Frankie Ray is Nova.
Yep. And we're getting deep into the John Byrne.
Yeah.
He's creating his own lore by the time he gets to it.
He's changing the Marvel. Yeah. This was so good. This was, the city goes to the moon. Wait, guys, where is the city of Atalan now? Is it in the Pacific? Did it leave the moon? It left the moon, and it's like in the Atlantic near Spain or something like that. I don't even know anymore. That's a great cover.
These are all beautiful covers, John Byrne stuff. This, I think, I posted this. What is it? 245 on X like a couple of weeks ago, and people were like, "That's beautiful." Sue Storm. Excuse me. My voice is starting to go because my voice is starting to go about a week ago, and I'm just recovering. But I think we hit our hour mark anyways, and I think we'll stop it there.
I'm going to be on Katie Did's channel pushing my comics, so I'm going to go there. I'm just waiting for the link so I can go on her channel.
Well, John, this has been thoroughly enjoyable going through.
Yeah, I enjoy this. Sometimes it's fun not to have a guest and just chit chat about old comics. I don't mind this at all.
No, and that's why
I hate everybody else. It's just me and you from now on.
What you should be reading is the name of the what I put on the background for this comic book team up, because these are beautiful books. And people always ask me, what do you recommend? What do you recommend? Any Fantastic Four, really, even before this point anyways, but you get in John Byrne run, a lot of the stuff we talked about, there's good stuff, there's bad stuff, but love Fantastic Four. It was like my book when I was a kid. No one else. It wasn't really a big book.
This is one of my favorite runs. This and Walt Simonson, and then the John Byrne, Chris Claremont X-Men, to me are like the triumvirate of comics that I would recommend to anybody. It's like this is how you do it, for classic superhero comics. So I'm sure there's westerns that you could read to learn how to do westerns, but for superheroes, this is it. This is it. Tony Grigo. As an artist, John Byrne rocks. As a writer, he sucks. I would disagree. I mean, John Byrne wrote the Fantastic Four. He wrote Namor. He wrote She-Hulk. He wrote the West Coast Avengers. He wrote Next Men. He wrote the early Hellboys. People forget about that. I would say he did a great job writing.
I would say, quite honestly, John Byrne, as a writer, could be a little bit full of himself,
right?
But that's only because of how great an artist he was. Because if you look at somebody who can do this, issue after issue, right? And he's got to have some kind of ego.
Oh, he's got an ego. He's got an ego. To the point, I joined his forum back in like 2005. I registered and I never made a post because I just saw it was just like people got banned for the slightest infraction, and I was like, if I post something and John Byrne bans me, I'll never recover. So I joined, never posted, and never went back because I just want to, you know, I don't want to be banned by John Byrne. I couldn't handle it.
Well, everyone, I think we're just going to leave it there. I am going to play the trailer for Fade to Blue one more time, just in case anybody wants to see that. The link is in the description, both for the sign-up page for Fade to Blue and for John's Heroic Tales #2, which is on sale right now. Go on over and take a look at John's book. See, he's got it up on Fund My Comic if you want to get that from him. And thank everybody for showing up. Listen to us just talk about Fantastic Four, because it was a bit of a relaxing evening. I had a bad week.
Feel better, RJ.
All right, I'll see y'all later.
Bye-bye, everybody.